Hi, everybody. We're at Soundstage Studios with the world, the wonderful Mr. Justin Cortelyou. This is in Berry Hill. If anybody knows about Nashville, this is like, I don't know, this is a studio, Blackbird's there.
Yeah, there are probably 15 studios on the street. It's the new Music Row. It's amazing.
First of all, what an absolutely gorgeous studio you have. I can't believe it.
Come on in.
Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Here it is in all its glory.
Yes. So,
wow.
So this studio originally was built in the 80s, and it was Randy Scruggs' old place. He was a session guitarist. His dad was Earl Scruggs, the famous banjo player. But he also produced. Here he cut Will the Circle Be Unbroken with Johnny Cash. Crosby, Stills and Nash recorded here.
Beautiful.
Dolly, Willie, Waylon, Toby Keith. And so there's so much history here.
What are you mainly staying on when you're mixing?
So yeah, I do most of my mixing on the 226s with the sub.
Yeah.
And then for overall level checks and volume rides for vocals, I'll put it on the NS10s. And then at the end of the day, I'll put it on the bigs, on the MB3s, and I'll crank it. And the low end is true, and they won't lie to you. If it sounds bad, then it's bad.
So it's nice to see the SSL.
Yeah, similar to yours.
Yeah. So
this wasn't here when we purchased, and I just love this console. It's 40 channels. We have 4 stereo modules. I mean, it's great. It does everything we want. I love having the monitor side dynamics, and then if you like it, just print it. And the EQ sounds so good on this.
Are you working hybrid when you're mixing?
It depends on the project. We have a Tangerine, so we can do proper mixes and automation and all of that. There are a few that I'll just put the faders to 0, use some tones to make sure that everything's at unity. Generally speaking, what I'll do is mix in the box, and then I'll do hardware inserts. And I always run the drums through the console, and then I'll commit it, and then I went through the gear depending on what it is. I've got a list set up with signal chains, and I'll just patch that in. That's my mix template. And so I'll just use the signal chains like plug-in inserts and put them in there, get the sound, and then commit them. I don't even have to recall them or anything.
Are you using it for tracking?
For tracking, yes. And even overdubs, it's great to blend guitar mics and, get a little bit of EQ on the way in. I don't use the mic pre's. They're probably fine, but we've got a selection of mic pre's that we use.
Oh yeah, we should talk a little bit about these.
Yes, those not only on tracking, but on mix. I use those all the time. The Coil Audio for anything percussion-wise, acoustic guitars, drums. If you want to, run a bus through those and just hit them hard and trim them back. Just amazing color and distortion characteristics, and I absolutely love those. And the Undertone mic pre's. The
Eric stuff there, that's great.
Yeah, so good. So versatile. The transformers sound amazing. You can drive them hard, and then there's a 10 dB pad on the output, so you don't have to worry about putting it through another compressor or fader and bring the level back. They're just amazing. We've got the Unfair Child also that.
Oh wow!
And we just got the SPL Iron.
Oh wow!
And it's a mastering compressor, but for me, the life that it adds to either the 2-bus. I use it on overheads too when I track. It's a pretty slow compressor limiter. You can get some color. You can change the tube bias here. You can change your the rectifier here and get different tones. The EQ curves for the sidechain detector really make a big difference on the 2-bus. But it adds so much life to it. And the air bass feature adds a little, after the compression, a little boost at the top and a little boost at the bottom. And it's really a gorgeous, useful piece. And these are probably some of my favorite compressors in the whole lot. They're 2254Es. I find they're the best electric guitar compressors. It doesn't matter how hard I hit them. they just sound amazing and come to life. And
Summit Audio up here, is that B3 talkback?
yeah, so it's kind of embarrassing in a way, but
Embarrassment of riches.
we have an embarrassment of riches. So it's a great talkback mic. So those are 1066s that were modified by Shep, and they came out of Pete Townsend's console. And we just replaced, we have, actually I have a pair of the BAE 1073s. I just took them out and used the power supply there.
Nice.
But they're amazing. Pair of 1081s.
1081s, yeah. Those are real needs.
Yeah, those are real, original. We got the top one and these two from Nicky Six, and he got those from Bob Rock. So there's a good bit of rock history in there, which I love that stuff.
Oh, 3214s. I love these things.
Yeah, and those are they're really early serial numbers, and
Yeah, they look different to my old ones.
yeah,
Different
and
faceplate.
the only issue is that the phantom power's on the back. So this one has phantom and this one does not, just in case you have a ribbon mic. But yeah, those are great, and the transformers I think are a little bit different, and they sound fantastic. I've tried them with a new 3124 plus whatever, and they're great. But those just seem to be a bit more open, a bit more punch, have a little bit more punch to them, and I love them.
And then inward connections?
Yes. So 2 mic pre's and then the limiters. And the mic pre's are warm and gooey, and the limiters are amazing. That's my drum crush. I just destroy the kick and the snare, and it's awesome.
Retro stay level.
It's a staple. It's so good.
What's your sort of go-to things for it?
That's on my bass chain. I go through that into what is that? Electro. Anyway, that. We'll go over there in a minute. Yeah.
So we were just talking about when we were sitting from over there. Oh, the Electrodyne. That's
Electrodyne.
Electrodyne. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh no. Oh, you got one of these. I love these.
So good. For a while, I was like, I'm not going to use that. It's not a real Pultec. No, it is a Pultec in every sense of the word. And that's what I use on bass. That is actually what I use on bass. Oh, it's so good. The low end.
I think that's what I do. Isn't our Pultec exactly the same thing? We boost 100.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think it sounds better than the Tube because it's a bit more focused.
Yeah.
It's really a wonderful sounding unit.
Yeah, and then the API, it's similar. It's like the 500 series version of the 2500. It's really, really good. And the 560s are...
Are you using this on kicks?
Actually, I use those on electrics.
A wall of distresses?
Yep.
Always useful.
Always good. The BAE 10DC.
I've got a pair of these.
And then the middle knob 33609. Just
Marvelous.
Awesome. Kick and snare. I don't know if there's a better kick and snare compressor for rock. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I wish I had a pair like that to try out for kick and snare, but I don't. So
well,
God bless you. Tube Tech, CL1B, absolutely. Is that used? I was about to say, do you use it on vocals?
Yep, vocal. That's it.
Yeah, Mark Ender. Whenever I'd go, when he was mixing it Screamy on the 9J, I think it was. Mm-hmm. That was always on his vocal.
Yeah.
And when he tracks, he puts it on his vocal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I track with it, and sometimes I mix, but my typical vocal mix chain is the Revision D 1176 into, we call it the Beast, but the BA6A, which so good.
So speaking of which,
yep.
3 1176s?
Yep, we have 3 different looks. This one is slightly modified with a cleaner transformer, and it's got a little bit of a lower gain, but it's great. The Revision D has tons of color for an 1176.
Crunchy to it.
So crunchy,
yep.
And I love it.
I feel like Purple don't get enough love on Produce Like a Pro because quite a few studios I know have Purple, and the people that have Purple stuff absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's just a different. It acts a little bit differently than both of the compressors, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's great.
And then 4 160 VUs.
Yeah, so those are original to the studio, and they're
great.
Fantastic. Tons of color, and it does the DBX thing.
Wonderful. And then some effects, AMS.
Yeah, fully functional. Everything works on it, which is rare.
So it's an oral exciter?
Yeah, and it does something a little bit different than the BBE, but it's similar. I was using it for a while. I use the Isotope, their exciter, and it's fantastic and a little more controllable. Exactly. And I've fallen back in love with the Primetime.
Oh, you have?
I have. I'm using it all over this project that I'm producing now, and it just has a thing that I can't get with the plugins, and it's just a quick slap. I have it set up as a quick slap right now, and it's perfect.
Pultec?
Yes, and that's the reissue, but it sounds just
Steve Jackson.
Yeah, is that the
Pulse Technique?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. I have those as well.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah. They're so good.
And then the Holy Grail.
Yes.
A vocal stressor. I mean, one of the best sounding, once you tweak it for an hour.
Yeah. I never touch it. And I don't use it as much. It was in the shop for a long time, which is kind of standard.
Yeah.
With the original ones, from what I hear, I think the new ones are pretty solid.
Right.
But yeah, I need to use it more. I've used it on Drum Crush, and just amazing to just destroy a.
I remember the first time we probably talked about this on the last time we did the virtual tour, but yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw a Compex. I was like so excited. And then after about half an hour of getting it, I finally got it to like the sound that I wanted. And I was like, don't breathe on it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I don't want to be touching it, but yeah, it's like
go for it.
Every like, little,
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know that when we first I had no experience with it. Yeah. And so when we first got in here, I was dialing. I was like, geez, just a little bit of it's very sensitive, but it's such a cool piece.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we did talk about this for a second.
Yes.
Was this in the studio? Where'd you get this?
So I found it on Reverb, and it was, I forget what the rental company is in LA. Well, they must have sold it through a company on Reverb, and we picked it up. I got it. That was the first compressor that didn't come with the studio that we purchased. And I did it because when I worked with Mike Shipley, he had just gotten a BA6A, and he was using it on vocals all the time. Yeah, so I had really, really fond memories of that. And anyway, that's the story. So
some API EQs, and is that a Cappy?
So that was my project. My pandemic project was to build a Cappy mic pre, and mission accomplished.
312?
Yeah.
What's the lexicon here?
So we just found that, and it's actually pretty cool. I'd never heard of it before, but it does surround sound and everything, and it actually has some pretty cool sounds.
MX400.
Yeah. So those are some Shep Neve 1073s.
Nice.
And I pulled them out, opened them up, and Mariner transformers. I mean, it's original. If you look, the only thing that is not Neve is the additional band of, I think it's this mid-range band, but they sound killer. And every bit at 1073.
Wonderful.
So this room has a lot of history to it. Originally, this was the darkest room in the world. You would turn the lights on and it would get darker. There were no windows, nothing. So we opened everything up. There were a bunch of booths. There was a booth there. There was a large piano booth here. We're set up for vocals and acoustic right now. And there was a booth in the corner, and that was the drum booth. But
right, there wasn't like a live room.
No, it was, and it sounded really small and honky and mid-rangey. So, so we just took all of that out, made that the piano booth and a little vocal acoustic booth over there. We angled this wall, and there's a little angle in that wall. We added a little bit of treatment on the ceiling and some bass traps on the sides, and it's one of my favorite drum rooms. And I know I'm biased, but the color, the texture that you get out of the rooms, it's gorgeous.
Wonderful. Give us a little rundown of how you're making a kit here.
Okay. So the studio kit is a Gretsch Renown maple. The toms, they're really open, punchy. The kick is tight, and it blends really well with the bass, and it doesn't take up too much space.
87s on the toms?
Yes, and these are modified. There's a guy, Bill Bradley, who takes the filters out, so it opens up the top and the bottom, and they're gorgeous. I also like 414s, EBs, especially on the toms, or 421 sound great also. But yeah, 87s, as long as you have a good drummer.
Yeah, if they're doing this with the cymbals, doesn't matter what you put on there.
There is one stick-shaped dent.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
I noticed a second ago an interesting combination. So you have you have the SM77.
That is the SM77.
Right.
And the small diaphragm is a Cam 140. It's a Cam 100 amplifier with the 40. It's a cardioid, transformerless small diaphragm condenser. Takes super high SBLs, and it just has an opposite curve of the SM77.
But I couldn't help notice you got an M160 underneath.
Yeah. I just started using that, and it's
I've got
awesome.
to be honest, you're the second person today.
Really?
Yeah, Rachel Moore. She says, she's T-Bone's engineer out here. And we said to her, what's your dream microphone? What's the one thing you could use on everything? She goes, M160. It was like, I never hear anybody in America talk about M160s. And here we are, a few hours later, and there's two.
We got two, yeah. Now this mic, it's a Neumann SM2.
Uh-huh.
It's basically, it's the same capsule as so there are 4 capsules because it's stereo multi-pattern, and it's the same capsule as the KM54. So there are 4 of them. I think it's nickel plated.
I have a 54.
Oh, they're so gorgeous.
They're really good. So it's tube.
It's tube. Yep. You can change the polar patterns. You could put a Deutschmark in the top and change the angle of the top capsule. Yeah, but that's it's so nice. And honestly, just
when did you get that?
We got it just a couple years ago, I think. I can't remember exactly when.
I don't see many.
Oh, you can find them, but they're pretty rare. But they're gorgeous microphones, and especially on acoustic guitar, any acoustic instrument. And for me, it's just nice because you put up one mic. You don't have to worry about phase, and you can make it wider, narrower, to suit the application.
So it looks like, am I correct? So Beta 52 on the inside.
Yep, that's it.
So Shure Beta 52, and then of course a FET 47 on the outside.
Yep, and typically I like to put it about there, just at the surround.
Do you get a little bit more air, a little bit more oomph? What is it you like about it?
So it gets a little pillowy, which is nice. So I like to have the real pillowy, fluffy out to blend in with the more punchy and kind of opposite curves of each other. And I'll even roll off the top end. I'll run this through one of those Neve 1081s, and I'll roll off the top end a bunch.
Great.
And just really maybe even push the pre a little bit and back off on the output to get a little saturation on it.
And are these M49s, I see?
This is an M249.
249?
Yes, and that's usually when we're tracking drums, I'll put it as the mono. And I like it down low so that the kick drives the compression and everything. And also I've started using right about here, kind of angled towards the kit. We've got a stereo ribbon Masanovic microphone that's awesome. And we were trying to go for like the Ryan Adams, Wallflowers kind
His
of.
mics are fantastic.
Yeah, they're really, really good.
Detroit. Yeah, we did a shootout. It was like 5 different ribbons, and I felt like that was my favorite.
Yeah,
it's brighter than any ribbon you've ever used.
Yeah, it is. It's ribbon. It's not what you would think, but it's very usable.
Very usable. Yeah.
And you don't have to kill it with EQ or anything like that. Once again, you don't have to worry about phase. You don't have to worry about all of those annoying things.
Yeah. Let's go check out the C7 I see lurking over there.
Yeah. This is original to the studio.
Oh, the piano came with it?
Yeah. So the piano came with the studio, and it's unique in the fact that it's a single piece ivory. So usually you'll see, this is a separate piece here from the larger bottom end, but it's single piece ivory, a lot of history. Bruce Hornsby played on it, and all those records that were cut here were on this piano.
Beautiful.
And originally, they had, in a very Nashville style, doped the hammers. So they squirted a little bit of glue in all of them. So we had to have those. They pin them. They actually break up everything, and then they reshape the hammers. And eventually, we'll have to replace them all. But right now, it sounds killer. We had it restrung, completely gone through, but it records really, really well.
Beautiful.
And it also has the Forte MIDI thing, which comes in super handy because we can record the MIDI. Just you have the data then. We've got the 414 EBs. I love them on the piano. One has the CK12 capsule.
Oh,
which is just gorgeous. Like that was so. Those came with the studio also. And as soon as we, got the keys, I came in. First thing I did was open up the top and go, does it have it? Does it have it? And the first one had the CK12, the brass ring. And the other one was the nylon one, which I was kind of bummed about. But we had that one serviced, and they took the nylon out, and then they put a TL2 capsule in. And they sound killer, and then you can use them as pairs. I do, at least. Of course, they'll sound different because one's on the low and one's on the high, so I don't care if they're a little bit off.
Beautiful. And then overdub room in here?
Yeah, little
bass or guitar overdubs? Or?
Yeah, here we've acoustic. We have the C12 set up.
Like you do.
Yeah. It was around. So I love the C12 on acoustic.
And what is your cue system there?
So we've got the private cue system, and it sounds great. Session players love it. So we have 8 mono channels, 2 stereos, pan, and then some overall EQ.
Wonderful.
Which is great. And the headphones, we use the ATH M50Xs. These sound incredible. They isolate really well.
Okay, so I suppose there's a B3 in there.
Yep.
You've been doing vocals to an SM7.
Yes. We had a shootout, and we tried, M249, C12. We have some 47s, some Telefunken 47s, and the SM7 won. You never know. There are times when the M249 sounds amazing, or sometimes it sounds terrible on an artist. So it's always good to give it a shot. And that's going through the cloud.
Oh, go for the cloud lifter, yeah.
Through the cloud lifter.
Yep. And then we saw the KM56.
Yep.
For the acoustic. So were you doing live acoustic and vocal at the same time?
At one point we were.
So you got the B3 here.
Yep.
Which is being mic'd and in this separate room over here. See, was that 121 or was it 122V?
So that is a 122 and a 57, and I sum those on the console and just blend them. I don't like to have too many options when I mix, so I'll commit that blend on the fly. And that's a 65, pretty much all original. So
57's on the top on your Leslie, and then a 421 for the bass.
Yeah, actually, I typically use 421s. That was someone else's setup. I like the RE20 on the bottom, and then 421s on the top. That's my personal favorite.
Yep, I understand. Yeah, you need dynamics because they've got to take a lot of air.
Yes.
It can get loud.
Yes.
It can get very loud.
And then, so we've got the Whirly. It's the one with the speakers on the front.
Oh, fantastic.
And it sounds so good. We recently had it serviced, and they added a variable speed to the vibrato, which is really nice. I like to have it actually out of time with the track, which sounds counterintuitive, but if it's in time, it kind of sounds square, or you don't hear it.
Right.
So it's nice to have that option. And then for our studio loudspeakers, those are the original, they're Altec Big Reds, 604s or I can't remember the number, but those were the original mains. So we wanted to keep the history here.
Great.
So we put them here, and they have Mastering Lab crossovers that are actually screwed to the floor underneath in the crawl space.
Thanks ever so much, Justin.
Thanks for coming by. Yeah.
Thank you. If you leave any comments and questions below, thank you for watching. Thank you, Justin. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing, and we'll speak to you again all very soon. Goodbye.